Right. So I believe the Zoom meeting is there. It says we are.
Yeah, there it
Alright,
is.
so, all right, here's something we button the question. I don't want to close out the Zoom meeting.
No, you close the browser.
Okay, I did that. All right, I think we're good.
There you go.
Is everyone present online?
Yeah, Christine Kerrigan is online.
Right.
And she's currently just listening in. You may.
All right.
You're all good to go.
Should be able to call the meeting to order, 6:05.
So you should have all the agenda for the meeting minutes from July 30th, Sarah.
Mhm. Make a motion to move to accept the minutes.
Okay. Great.
All in favor?
All in favor.
I'm not online. Have you checked the,
I'm pulling it up.
I thought you were on that. I guess we. You want to come back to the permit log?
I just got it up.
Okay.
There's one new one for rooftop solar.
For whom?
21 Staples Hill. Suncovia is the name of the company.
I think that was approved last year. I think we discussed, we'd seen that for Shane and Katie Gallant. Maybe somebody else. Okay, good to know.
That was at 37 Staples Hill.
Okay, that's 21. All right.
So that's the only new thing.
Good.
Shouldn't be any hassle with that.
So those top two bullets in the old business are just reminders.
Yeah.
We know the solar ordinance has been sent to legal, so we got that. I copied that from Josh. Some of this, because this agenda went out earlier before some of these things happened, so we know the cemetery, planning board, and sewer ordinances have gone to liaison, who will in turn send those on to the select board. We all have town emails now, yay?
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Haven't done it yet, but.
If you need help, I can set it up. So Lynn and I are using ours,
Good.
or Robin.
I'm like partial, I think it's set up.
Mhm.
I can't get notifications, but if I go into the authenticator thing, I don't know, somehow I weave my way through it and I find the emails.
Well, do you use it on a laptop or a tablet or how you send your phone? If you want to, we can take a look at it later and see if we can get you set up with everything.
Yeah, yes. So I think that,
Cool.
Okay.
I shouldn't do this stuff to non-tech savvy people.
So file cleanup is ongoing. Do you think one more week we might be done?
I would
Yeah, I
imagine.
just did that last drawer. I don't know what's in it. I haven't looked at it. Out of the
Oh, so we
drawer.
have one more drawer.
One more drawer.
Yeah, okay, cool. So before we come back to cluster housing and minimum housing and minimum lot size ordinance, because those are the ones that are most affected by the new state laws on
Mhm. Yeah.
housing. So we have both of those printed out to talk through tonight. But perhaps before we get to that, maybe, do we want to do the rest of the? Do we want to talk comp plan?
Yeah, we can touch on it. So are we going forward with the postcards? Mail out?
Oh,
Yeah,
just for the public record, we got our grant. Yay.
Yeah, I saw
That's
that.
exciting. We do have, I don't think anybody on the board here has had a chance to, in the past, when we need to access money, we either produce an invoice or a bill or some justification for it, or you purchase it and get reimbursed. Okay, either way.
Okay,
And usually it goes through you as the chairman to kind of approve those,
okay,
just FYI. And then it goes to the town office and the town office always calls back and says, did you approve this?
so do I have to get what it would cost to get the postcards printed and mailed?
Right, so once we get that cost, we'll put together
Okay,
a brief sheet for that.
okay,
You would sign off on that, we'd send it to the front
Perfect.
office, and then they would either somebody spends the money up front and gets reimbursed, or
Who manages the grant?
I believe the select board mentioned that Kathy would be doing that, but we have to talk to Kathy about that and double check.
mhm. So do we have the number of postcards that we need for population of Canton?
We do, Josh got us how many criers they send out, like to individual homes, I forget that exact number, but, and I know you sent over the dimensions, so I think once
Yeah, I
we design that postcard, we can just double check with the post office and
Okay,
have a cost
all
and
right,
go from there.
So the calendar, I sent you all a test vote in your new email address.
I haven't done that yet.
The way this calendar gets set up, we would have 4 different links generated, basically.
Mhm.
And that's not great for trying to put on a postcard.
No.
So I think what I'd like to do
Mhm.
is there's a news page, there's a news section on our Canton webpage. So I'll create the 4 different links. And you said you were gonna do some wordsmithing on what we
Yep.
wanna put. Could you send that to me? Because I'll put that all in the description of the links that I create.
Yep.
So once I create the 4 links, I'll create a document
Mhm.
that has all the 4 links and the QR codes on them. We'll have Kathy post it on the town website.
Mhm.
And then when she posts that, we'll create a QR code for that. So that's the one we'll send out on the postcards, and that we'll post in the town office and put on social media and whatever. And then when people click on it or take a picture of it, depending if they're getting a link or a QR code, it'll take them to our document.
Okay.
That'll have all of here's what this session is about. Click on this link to vote. Here's what this session is about. Click on this link to vote. That way we can just have the one link that we can send out that'll link to a document that'll have all of the information.
Okay.
That sounds okay to everybody.
Yep, and we just call it not call it voting, because then it sounds
Yeah.
like some decisions being made, but
Yeah,
it is, like we say, click on this link to tell us your.
Help me wordsmith that stuff,
Okay.
and then we'll get that going, and what I'll do is I'll start a document, it'll be in the same format as our comp plan.
Mhm.
That we can put all that information on, right? So then it'll kind of everything will look and feel the same as our comp plan document.
Because our first potential dates are coming up.
They are, so we gotta get these out.
Yeah.
So I can have that done.
It's in September, isn't it?
Yep,
Tonight,
Okay,
all right, you get it.
I'll get it, you'll have it by tomorrow morning.
Or
So.
at the town email, right?
So what I'll do is. If you could send me whatever wordsmith you'd like for a description, because you said you worked on that.
Yeah.
Send that to me tonight, because then I'll be able to create the links, because you have to create a title for the meeting, a description of the meeting, so I want to put all that in. And then put the voting options, or the selection options. That I would prefer options.
Right.
We're not voting, we're just preferring.
Right.
Preferring to vote.
Yeah,
And I mean, can people choose both dates, right? If they can attend either date, you should be able to click on both dates, right? I just think if you
Yeah.
tell people that, so they know.
oh, I didn't try that, did anybody try it?
I tried clicking, I couldn't make anything, but
Usually on those types of things, you can like click on one date and that's it.
I'll try it. You can keep going.
Okay.
I did spend a little bit of time in the comp plan. I'll have some more time coming up this week.
Doesn't sound like it.
Well, not this weekend, but next week I will.
Busy lady.
Are there any other new business agenda items to add to this list?
I am able to choose both
Okay,
dates,
cool.
but that's something we'll make clear in the description.
Yeah,
All right, I'll give you that tonight.
Choose all that applies to you.
yeah.
Got a big star on my notes too.
That basically means they have no preference. Doesn't matter, I'll just pick both, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So last week, Robin handed out some of the presentation notes from the housing opportunity training program that she and Dawn took. So thank you guys for going through that. That was great. And I thought this was a pretty good summary,
Yeah, right?
the PowerPoint. So it kind of says, hey, there was original work in 2003 or LD 2003, and then there's 23 sections of it. But by January of 2026, they want you to start complying. Like, okay, well, it's 8 months in.
Yeah,
Let's do it. I think that one of the key takeaways was looking at, towns have to be able to permit at least one accessory dwelling unit on any lot where a single family home is the principal structure in areas where residential uses are allowed. So we have no zoning. So we don't have commercial zones and residential zones. So basically anywhere there is a single family home or a lot, we have to allow accessory dwelling units by law. Minimum state law sets the minimum floor area of an accessory dwelling unit at 190 square feet.
Mm.
So that's like 45 by 45.
That's tiny.
A little bit more than 45 by 45. So that's like a tiny
Hunting
house.
cabin.
Yeah. That's the minimum accessory dwelling you can have. You have to, people who are owners of that have to provide written verification that the unit connects to adequate water and waste systems before occupancy. And it can be built inside a main home. It could be in an attic or a basement. It could be attached or detached. So it doesn't have to be just like an in-law suite at the back of your house. It could be a tiny home off to the side, could be a garage over the garage unit.
you said 190 square feet?
That's the minimum.
Yeah, yeah, that's 10 by 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a shed.
yeah, that's a shed.
That's tiny.
Yeah,
Well-
10 by 20 is 200.
If you see, yeah, so if you see I've seen some of these Japanese apartments and stuff that are, and there's some of the tiny homes.
Mhm.
That's as big as they are, but they can pack a lot of interesting stuff in there if you
Mhm.
build it right.
Yeah.
You know?
Shells, they want shells.
So in our ordinances that are probably going to be affected by this are two of them, which you have in front of you. The housing and minimum lot size ordinance. And cluster housing. Now, cluster housing, we had already done a lot of revisions to that.
Yeah,
And the direction at last week's meeting was, Diane, bring us the cleaned up version of that so we could decide whether to move it ahead. And as I was reading through it this week, I'm like, oh, we should perhaps discuss it in light of
Mhm.
the housing laws. If you look at the PowerPoint that Robin brought last week, which was from their training. There's a couple things that we probably need to do a little bit more looking into, and maybe you know about this from your training. This rate of growth ordinance, I don't think that applies to us at all, but
I don't think so either.
okay, but I wasn't 100% sure what that was. I thought that was for highly dense coastal towns or places where they have to manage the growth more tightly, but I just didn't know what that was. Rate of growth ordinance act, whether it applied. On page 4 of the PowerPoint that you handed out, I thought that had a lot of good topic areas there in those bullets. Minimum lot sizes, the lot area per dwelling unit, accessory dwelling units. I don't know if we're required by law to address affordable housing. It did say board training requirements, which I'm assuming because you guys took it.
Oh, that would count.
That counts. I don't know. I went to Maine Municipal and looked up housing training and they did not have anything else on there
Mm.
in their library of training for this, so. Probably should take a look at our subdivision ordinance too, in this, in light of this. Currently, we do nothing with childcare facilities in residential zones. I don't know that we have to add anything there, but
Yeah,
it was on here as a bullet item.
yeah.
I did think that we've had a couple childcare facilities pop up over the years, and we have never approached them and said, hey, you're a commercial business. You should probably just fill out a commercial permit. But that's perhaps a separate conversation. So we don't have anything in our current housing minimum lot size ordinance that addresses multifamily housing. So we have nothing anywhere in any of our ordinances that address duplexes or some of these old houses that you chop up into apartments inside, right? We don't have any of those addressed anywhere. We could,
So multifamily. Or
well, I'm looking at page 5 of your handout.
Yeah.
You brought in. So this is saying that in summary, the law now allows or requires you to allow 3 units per lot in a residential area, 4 units per lot, including an ADU, in a designated growth area or an area served by water and sewer. And here it also said, planning board review is not permitted for 4 or fewer dwelling units within a structure and or an ADU. So I guess if somebody's taking, say, an old Victorian home, and breaking it up into 4 apartments.
We're not able to say anything about it.
That's right.
If it's less than 4
There's
or
no
less.
planning board review, and I'm assuming the code enforcement officer would still have to do a basic review of like sewer requirements.
Right.
Make sure there's enough septic and whatever, but that has nothing, that would, according to this, that would have
Nope.
nothing to do with us. So I was looking at your document here, page. I think that's not what this is, must be page 6. So our minimum lot size right now, if you look at the housing and minimum lot size ordinance, is 40,000 square feet.
Oh,
in
it
our-
says, wait a minute, 30.
If you on water and sewer, I think you
Oh,
go
okay,
30.
the minimum lot size, minimum sewer, okay.
Right, so if
30.
you're on your own well and septic, it's 40,000 square
40,000
feet. If you're on municipal water and sewer or sewer, either one, you can go down to 30,000 square feet. Our cluster housing ordinance was talking about being able to go to 20,000 square feet because you're offsetting this denser housing with open space elsewhere on the lot. I think what some of these new laws are trying to say is, hey, you can go denser and you don't have to offset with open space.
Right. Like if you already have some in cluster housing, does the new ordinance say that you have to allow the accessory units as well?
Well, if you look at this page 6 here, it says limits to minimum lot size requirements now. If you're in a growth area that is served by water and sewer, you can be less than or equal to 5,000 square feet lot size.
Yeah, so that is what that's saying.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. So you could build potentially a neighborhood out of all those little tiny homes.
oh, easily. Yeah,
If you wanted to,
and there's nothing anybody can say about it.
right? If the growth area without water and sewer is still 20,000 square feet. So that's what we have already in our cluster housing development. If you're a non-growth area, you have to be less than 10,000 square feet. A non-growth area without water and sewer is based on the septic laws. So this is what we were talked about. The very first session of the comp plan stuff is coming up in September, needs to be conversation around what is a designated growth area. Right? And so as a town, can we look at those maps and look at all the variables on those maps and say, we think we want to promote growth in these 3 areas around town, or wherever the answer is, right? I don't know what the answer is. But once that designated area, something is designated as a growth area, it would then fall under these new laws.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I would imagine wherever town water and sewer is would be designated a growth area because they have to be increased anyways.
Maybe, I mean,
We'll
you
see
don't
what comes
have,
out of the planning sessions.
right. Right, or do you need to extend water and sewer? Because like, we know where it stops now, and right at the edges of a number of spots is where you could potentially extend it to. But within the current water sewer piping, there's not I don't think there's a lot of growth areas that you can designate. But we'll look at that on the maps. Maybe our next meeting, we talk about that piece of like prepping that for that first book session. So I don't know that we have currently any limits in our ordinance around lot area per dwelling unit. Because the ordinance assumes 1 dwelling unit per lot.
Yeah,
And if you have more than one, you're a subdivision. And
Right.
then you fall under the subdivision ordinance. This training that you guys brought back was saying, if you're growth area that's served by water and sewer, you can go as low as 1,250 square feet. Right, so that's 30 by 40 roughly. For the first 4 units. And I don't know what it goes beyond 4 units, right? And I'm not, we have nothing in any of our ordinances to talk about like apartment buildings at all. So I just feel like this is, while the comp plan is kind of up and floating and all these pieces are moving while the laws are changing, this is probably a good time to, take until the comp plan is done to decide all these things. But these are the facets of that thing. You have to take a look at. So if you're in a non-growth area that has water and sewer, 10,000 square feet for the first 2 units in a single structure. So
it's a big,
that's a big place.
that's big.
Yeah.
Are you thinking we need to add a section about ADUs within these documents?
Yes, and I think we either have to modify or explain the minimum lot size requirements and say, this is for a single family home in this kind of area. This is our minimum lot size, right? If you want to add ADUs, it's this. If you have ADUs within water and sewer, it's this, right? So I think we have to put that all out there.
Yeah.
And make sure that it talks about growth areas as designated by the comprehensive plan. Because right now we don't have any of that. So on their next page here, that talks about some of the other requirements, right? You don't have to have fire suppression units required in EDUs. unless they're attached to greater than 2 units.
Okay, so if it's a single family ADU or a single, you don't have to.
If you put an in-law suite, you don't have to put in a sprinkler system in that sort of thing.
If it's not attached.
ADUs may share a wall with multifamily fully residential structures.
Okay,
It says, so you do not have to have fire if it's attached, unless attached to more than 2 units or in a mixed-use building.
okay, so no, if it's attached to a residential, single family home, then no.
Correct, you don't have to put in a sprinkler system. Which I know a lot of people are building apartments over their garages. And you don't have to put in a fire suppression system, a sprinkler system in there for that. Yeah. Fire extinguisher in the corner will suffice. So I think we should perhaps take a look at our ordinances at some point in the next 2 months. I don't know if we have to do that right this second, but and figure out where these elements need to fit into.
You mean
this.
the subdivision, the housing and the cluster housing?
Yep, housing minimum lot size, cluster housing, we should
Yeah.
probably sit with the subdivision right in front of us, do the same, all 3 of them, and leave
Yeah.
it there. And you guys all have access to it in that
Mhm.
drive, so if you want to print it out yourself, the last one, the
Yeah.
subdivision ordinance, take a look at that, great. And then I had like questions, like one ADU is exempted from density requirements per lot, like, I'm like, I don't get that. So, I get this maybe for towns that have a tighter density requirement than we have. They're saying this is exempt. You can add 1 for a lot. Even if your current town, some towns have an ordinance already that says you can't have housing closer than blah, 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 blah.
Right,
And they're saying 1 ADU is exempted per lot. Automatically,
that makes sense.
which we don't have that, so. You can't put a residency requirement that says like it has to be a full-time resident or this, so people could put them in for traveling nurses who may come in a week at a time and not be there another week. Right, so they're saying you cannot put a residency requirement on an ADU,
No, right,
right?
Mhm.
that's right.
We don't have any of the exempt areas, we don't have coastal barrier systems, we
Right.
might have special flood hazard area. We do have that, we don't have coastal sand dunes. All right. So the next page talks about, areas where there's, some of these housing density requirements, also have a lot of parking problems,
Mm,
right? If you're downtown of a coastal town,
Mhm.
parking is gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
So there is affordable housing bonuses, which I don't know that any of this really applies to us.
I didn't think so when we
No, I
went through
don't.
the training.
We need to double check our housing height limits, which the only ones I think that we really have height limits on are shoreline zoning. Right, because they didn't want people, let's say you've got a house right on the water and somebody across the road from the water, right? They don't want the house on the water to build 3 stories up, now you completely block the view
So
of the
that's
house
the 4th one we need to look at.
behind it, so yeah, I think we should check that one.
So which one you said on the
The height,
shoreline?
well, I mean. Shoreline zoning has its own
Mm.
issues with footprint and everything else. That's a good question. How does this affect shoreline zoning? I think shoreline zoning is kind of a pure
Mhm.
ordinance. I don't think we want to mess with that one.
No,
Yeah, I think throughout this, it was like kind of
Everything.
all of
everything
this except for shoreline zoning.
Yay, let's not touch one.
I think it was kind of like that, right?
Good. And I don't know that we have a height restriction on our other, in our other ordinances, but we definitely should take a look at that.
yeah, so,
Well, and that, has come up before when somebody said to me, what if if somebody wanted to build a 3-story apartment building? Can you do that in the town of Canton? I'm like, I think so. So right now, we have nothing in our ordinances that does anything to restrict affordable housing. When we talked about this, been like over a year and a half ago now, about affordable housing, it was, if you look at the HUD puts out based on the number of people in the house, what the income is that is considered affordable. And in our county, 80% of area median income is considered the affordability threshold. So that number changes if you're one person, two person, four person household, whatever. I've looked at the numbers for this year and I don't have it in front of me, but for last year, 80% of 80 for a single person was like $46,000. So you could make $46,000 and qualify for affordable housing, which we pay our starting teachers $40,000.
Yeah.
Right, with a college degree. So I guess when we go through here, we can take a look. I don't know that we want to add anything at all about affordable housing. They want to take away affordable housing restrictions. I don't think we have any in
We
ours.
don't have any.
So I don't think we need to add any. I don't think we can take anything away. But if it's going to be an issue going forward, do we want to say things like in some ordinance, affordability is encouraged, or you don't want to keep building premium stuff that nobody can afford. But if we just leave it alone.
Is that an ordinance statement or a comp plan statement?
I think it's in
Which
the
is
comp
an
plan.
ordinance, but
And well, I think it's in our overall strategy to comp plan. Yeah. That's our dollars and cents session.
or dollars and cents.
Work session. So these mandatory training requirements, what did you guys learn about that? Because that's why I couldn't find anything online. Is that like once we update our ordinances and we pass them through the main MOCA Housing Planning Review Board, because they have to look at them because they're giving us planning.
Well, we don't have a municipal zoning appeals board. Creates mandatory training requirements for municipal zoning appeals. We don't have zoning.
No, we have a municipal appeals board though. They're not a standing board. That's the problem.
Within 180 days of appointment.
Well, that's a good question for clarification. I would think that if the ordinances get changed to include accessory dwelling units and the new housing regulations, it might be worth holding a workshop for all municipal officers, including appeals board people, just to say,
Yeah,
hey, here's what these updated ordinances mean. And here's how that affects your job. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but
yeah, right. Training could be 3 documents on a PowerPoint, It just depends on to communicate.
so this is where our subdivision ordinance would come into play right on this next slide. 'Cause I think right now where 3 or more dwelling units on a lot requires a subdivision permit. So now they're saying it's 5 or more.
Hmm.
So if that's the only change in our subdivision ordinance, that's a pretty easy one to do.
Yeah, right.
But so we have nothing zoned for commercial use, but, and I think as you just mentioned, Robin, in the comp plan, in our growth areas, then we want to talk about combined commercial residential areas. So what if you have a first floor row of businesses with apartments over top, right? Right now, we don't have anything that addresses either one of those, and maybe we just ignore it and let it go, right? But
Right.
we should somewhere
Well,
probably,
it'll be like Camp Variety that has a store and it has people living upstairs.
right?
Yeah,
And lots of cats. Um,
Post office.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. And what is that called?
We don't have anything about limiting parking. That's what the next slide is about.
we don't, but I know there was conversation, for example, when we put through our permit for apartments, there was a lot of concern about how many parking units you're gonna have with 8 apartment buildings.
Yeah,
I said, you got 8 single family apartments. We have 12, we're good. But,
yeah.
But you can't require more than one off-street parking space per dwelling unit within a designated growth area. Uh, I don't think parking's gonna be a problem.
No,
No.
No,
Uh, I just think their definition of public sewer and public water is fine, right? That fits everything we're doing.
no,
These frequently asked questions are kind of interesting,
right,
right? So density requirements for 2 units are mentioned if you have public water, public sewer, not in a growth area. What about the density requirements for 3rd and 4th unit? You don't have to stick with 10,000, or you can make it smaller if you wanted to. So I think most of the rest of this is just good background information,
right.
but I was in Scout Weekend last week.
We didn't go through this document on the training,
Mhm.
but it also has some, I was flipping through it, it also has some really good information in it. I feel like it's more detailed.
Okay. I looked at that, I didn't bring it, that one back.
It has specific definitions out of the bill and,
So definitions are often what we put in the front of an ordinance as a
Yeah.
way of really laying the groundwork, so that might be a great place to go to get those.
yeah.
I also sent a note to MoCA, the people who gave us the housing planning grant, to ask them if, do they have a list of like approved housing ordinance consultants? And is there anybody that we could get for a reasonable amount of time to take a look at these, right, and give us a start?
Yeah,
Or do we start and then we send it to somebody for a quick review? Now, MoCA, one of our requirements is that we have to send our ordinances to them for review anyway, so we may not need anybody else because they're gonna review them.
you mean these?
Right, any changes we make in our ordinances
Mhm.
to be compliant with the 2173
Right.
laws,
Okay.
because they gave us the grant, one of our grant requirements is that they review our ordinance changes
Okay.
as well. Which I think is great, having someone who's an expert in housing has another set of eyes on our ordinances
Yeah, no,
is
yeah.
great. Super. So we do need to be ready to go by town meeting next year. Even though I'm sure we could get an extension, the deadline is 7/1/27.
What needs to be,
Any ordinance changes,
These changes.
that have to go to town meeting
Okay.
in June of next year,
okay,
if not sooner.
Yeah.
well, that's June of
Which I think will fit
27.
right in with our comp plan stuff.
yep,
But thing to think about when you have nothing else in your mind. I do like all these, how do you calculate minimum lot size requirements for?
I know, some of it's like, oh my God, that makes my head hurt.
Oh, that's just algebra. That's the easy part. That's the fun part.
They got some nice flow charts in here. Is this in the growth area, yes or no?
So should we include verbiage in these ordinances dealing with ADUs?
Yes.
Yes,
No.
Yes.
yeah,
I have 4 of them
Yeah.
to look at, right?
Yeah.
Cluster, housing, minimum lot size, subdivision, and maybe shoreline zoning.
Yeah, I think we're not gonna touch shoreline zoning if we can help it.
We'll just look at
Yeah,
it,
so
but
we have
probably not touch
housing,
it. Those are the-
cluster housing subdivision.
Subdivision too, yeah.
Housing minimum lot size.
Yeah, subdivision and shoreline zoning was the four I had.
Is there any changes to a place that has commercial and residential combined? Dealing with ADUs?
I mean, for example, could Canton Variety tack a unit off the back of that building?
Well, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
Technically, they could at the moment, because we have no restrictions, I think this.
Or does the owner have to live there? I don't know if they do or not.
No, there's something about residency in the documents.
I didn't know if the owner of the commercial property had to be there as well for an ADU to be built.
Well, I think commercial is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Right, if it's an apartment building, if it's a,
Well, I mean, if they live there
Right.
and the business is there, they can add on to their part of it for an ADU,
I believe so.
right? But not just an apartment.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So are units like the drugstore and the post office, are they called something special, like you were talking about, residential, commercial? Is it a special name for that?
Currently, we have no
There's no commercial
Designation
zoning anyway.
for that in our town. So we have no designation for that. We don't call it anything. It's in a dwelling unit. There's a certain number of dwelling units.
Okay, so should we? But they would be grandfathered in anyway.
Yeah.
At this point,
I would think so.
okay. But would like, well, it wouldn't be a business that.
We know that housing conference I went to that I was telling you guys about, one of the things the guy said is everybody wants to put these commercial strips with like, a restaurant, a coffee shop, a library, or whatever, bookstore, blah, 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 and put apartments over top of it. He goes, it never pays out. And I'm like, oh, let me pay attention to what he's saying, right? So I got a whole handout on that because I thought that was an interesting financial analysis
I
on,
wonder why it doesn't pay out.
because of the amount of tax revenue you get per square foot. It doesn't work, I don't think, and the amount of investment you have to put into the building to get it started. So
It would probably only work if the owner lived there. And that's their residence as well. Yeah.
Okay.
But who wants to live where they work all the time?
Good question. Yeah, so like,
I bet.
I'm working at home for 20 years. I'm
Yeah,
okay with that.
exactly.
Yeah, you don't have anybody else.
Not bad.
So in front of you, you have the cluster housing ordinance.
Yep.
And you're having housing minimum lot size ordinance. I would say before our next meeting, can I ask everybody to take a read through those? And
yeah,
think about where those go and print out for yourself the subdivision ordinance? Or we can get a copy printed out from the town office.
I'll spot you.
This cluster housing, we've already been through a few times and have made all kinds of changes to it. So we were prepared to send that to
Yeah,
the next level of review, but it's a great time to catch it for
Yeah.
housing requirements.
Okay.
So comp plan, our next meeting is the 20th, right? Is that correct? Our planning board meeting. Can we maybe do one more work session? I'd like to be able to send a couple of the background chapters to the select board by the end of the month to look at.
Right.
Yeah, look at the inventory chapters that we're doing,
Oh,
right,
okay.
that are just like all the
Oh,
background
okay, yeah.
stuff. Because none of those are strategies going forward. They're all a backwards look at, here's what we've had in the background history, here's how many farms we have, here's how many miles of roads we have, that kind of stuff. I'd like to get a few of those chapters over to the select board to take a look at.
I am free for the rest of the summer after the 18th.
Yeah, the 20th.
I'm good. But yeah, I got family coming into town for a week.
Okay, so do we want to put an agenda item next week, next meeting to really review those, or decide which of those we think are ready to go? And we can send them around ahead of time, or I can make a note I could tag you on the ones to go to the online document. say, I think these are ready for review, this is ready, these 5 or 4 or 2, whatever, are ready for review. So that by the next meeting, we can talk about them and make a decision and get those over to the select board.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need a working session per se, but work chapters at next meeting. Depending on how the whole document's looking at that point, we can decide if we want to send them that whole, or they've got the link to the working one, right? I don't know, they don't have a new one, do they?
They have the link to our folder.
The folder, okay. Yeah. All right. It's probably better to get attention if we just say, here's 4
It's
chapters.
several hundred pages. You want to read it, Josh? It's really pretty. It'll put you to sleep.
I was, for work the other day, I received my first 200 page.
Oh, God. You're just done by next week.
That's right.
Okay, so you want a working session or you want to just cover it in the next meeting, Diane?
Or just send them, or
Where's the date? I'm just gonna do the calendar. Today is, whose day is it?
the 6th.
If I can, I could take a look before then, let me try to send something by the 17th. So we can maybe make a decision by the 20th.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay.
And tonight you're gonna send me what you've been wordsmithing, so I'll
For the
get going on
invite.
those for the calendar stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So by morning sometime, you guys can check your email for the document that I generate.
Okay.
And then Diane can pass it over to Kathy to post on the website. And then we'll get a QR code from that. And then you'll be all set to go with postcards and
The postcard's just gonna have one QR code
Yeah.
that gets them to.
all of them will have the same QR code that takes them to the document we have Kathy post on the
Yeah,
website.
got it.
That document will have 4 links next to 4 QR codes, so people can either choose to click on a link or take a picture of the QR code. That makes sense. And I think I'll put a little tutorial, in case people are confused when they get to the calendar, and here's what you do. Put your name in.
So our first possible dates again are the 13th of September or was it the 16th?
Gonna make me get that
Yeah,
out,
16.
aren't you?
I'm sorry, I got it.
Gonna
13th,
make me think that out, aren't you?
13th and 16th of September were the first 2 ones people were choosing between, right? Yeah,
Hold please.
yeah, it's on my calendar, all right. The second one was the 27th and 30th.
Okay, I have session 1, the 13th or the 16th.
Yep,
Session 2, the 27th or the 30th.
yep.
Session 3, October 10th or October 14th. And session 4, October 25th or the 24th. I don't know why I did that backwards. You must have
Yeah,
said
24th.
25th.
So by the end of October, we should have some really interesting direction for the company based on citizen involvement.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're excited about that.
And we can probably get that incorporated
Yeah.
into our hundreds of page document that Josh is gonna read as soon as we send it to him.
It'll be pretty, it's got pictures.
That's,
Yeah, that's the other thing,
It's
that's
not
the other
a lot,
thing
but
I
there
gotta
are a
get
lot of
on.
pictures
So
and
once
stuff.
you're,
So,
once you're
Kinda
done
helps.
editing, you were gonna do some edits, Diane, I wanna
Yep.
get with, some folks to get pictures in there.
Yeah. Well, I said no to something. Somebody from church reached out the other night and said, can you do this thing for Saturday? I'm like, no, I cannot. And she's like, oh, you said no. Oh, good girl. I'm like, yeah. I said, there's not enough hour in the day. I just couldn't do it. If I stayed up 24 hours, I could not do that one thing they asked me to do. Like, nope,
Yeah,
done. Done.
I
Anyway,
used to have a problem with that too.
So just FYI, this weekend, Saturday is Lake Days, which is the Lake Association has raffles. They're having a water slide bouncy house. They got music, live music, a cakewalk, lunch that you can buy. Um, information on water quality and loons and all that good stuff, invasive plants. Things you should, everybody should know about in our lake. From 11 to 2 down here at the corner lot at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
Free, open to the public.
That was one thing I always thought we should hire some high school kids to sit down there on weekends at the boat launch and look for invasive plant species.
We have
It's a
two,
great job for.
there's a whole program, volunteer
Yeah.
lake monitoring program, VLNP. We had 2 trained monitors, but they spent a lot of time just sitting there reading a book in a lawn chair and nobody
Well,
came.
But that's, yeah,
But I said, what if we got the state to allow us to put a little camera down there? We could actually track what days and times the most volume of people is there,
Yeah.
and then you schedule your monitors on those days.
it's always on the weekend. I mean, I always see the launch
Guys-
fill up on the weekend.
These guys sat there on many Saturdays and got like nothing. But I
Yeah.
think that like maybe it's get more
Mm.
visible. People are,
But that's the best way to catch them, you know,
Yeah,
is
Yeah,
have
yeah,
people at the boat
inspect the
launches, inspecting the
inspecting
the
the
boats
total inspected. We did
before they
a,
launch.
the Lake
Before they get
Association.
along.
Yep, the Lake Association did a water quality invasive plant survey probably 6 or 7 years ago. We know we need to do another one.
Yeah.
We're probably not gonna get it done this summer, but we can schedule it for next summer. And there's a training and there's a whole book on, pretty easy book to look for, right? But we send people out with sample bags and teach them how to sample. And we send them out in kayaks to different quadrants of the lake, and you collect your samples, we come back and we look at them all. And if there's anything questionable, we send it off for testing.
Yeah,
But most of it you can look at in the book that they give you and say,
That's what this is, that's what this is.
yes, there's a branch off into it. One branch of leaves look like, whatever, there's a whole big set of criteria. And if you then you think it's dangerous, you send it off to test.
Yeah,
And so far, we don't have anything.
yeah.
We're very.
we're lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky we don't have anything.
They still do, but last summer they had
No
no
oil.
oil inspector
Yeah.
that manned the launch the whole time. It's
Yeah.
on state program, but I never seen anybody at Canton.
Well, we do have volunteer lake monitoring people,
Yeah.
VLM trained people to do that. But
Cause I went down to Long Pond this past weekend and the lady was like, I want to butcher the name, Lake Canton.
And that's the guinea pig.
Yeah.
so then
And
I
a-
had my hat on.
Yeah,
and that's the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Tell it for. But they patrol pretty hard for that milfoil stuff there.
yeah, oh yeah.
Michigan does a good job of that.
Once it's in.
Once it's there, it's,
You're
you're SOL, man, you don't want that. I lived in the Midwest, there's a lot of lakes. Illinois, Wisconsin, they're just ruined.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So- One thing, just FYI, in the future, I think we need to have that projector going so that the recording actually has any faces to it. Otherwise, people can listen, but they're not gonna see anybody's faces without that thing
Do we
going.
have to hit a button or something?
Yeah,
So maybe we can add to the top of every agenda, technology check
Yeah.
to make sure that everything's going.
Yeah.
And we'll have a list. So get the owl going, get the video going, get the Zoom going.
yeah, because, hold on, yeah, that's it.
Last week I wrote back it.
The owl will do it, and
Well, I heard it go hoo-hoo, but
it captures the
wasn't on.
sound. I did not turn on the,
Okay,
The video.
so what do we need to turn on? It's the owl and the Zoom.
yes.
We need to make sure his eyes are lit up.
Yes,
Okay. So we should do a tech check.
Yeah.
At the top of the meeting, and then we will be all good. Cool. I was not paying attention to that.
so in the next agenda item, I'm gonna put a more detailed plan for the first 2 public charrettes. Just so we go through that together and make sure we have all the right people we need. If we need other facilitators or we need other resources for those
I agree.
September meetings, that could be on the next agenda.
Yes, because we're getting close.
Okay. Cool. Everybody having a good summer?
My husband's brothers and sister are coming into town for a weekend, so. Oh, yucky.
So are we all set for now?
Who would
I
like to?
move to adjourn.
Second it.
All there?
So they all got to capture us saying 5. Feel bad about that.